Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast where we explore fascinating topics and improve our English skills at the same time. I'm John.
And I'm Emma. Today's episode is titled, The Truth About Money and Happiness. We'll be discussing how money impacts our happiness and how to find balance in our lives.
Before we dive in, let's go over some key vocabulary you'll hear in today's episode. Here are a few words and phrases we'll cover. Wealth, the abundance of valuable resources or material possessions. Fulfillment, a feeling of satisfaction or happiness as a result of fully developing one's abilities or character. Contentment, a state of happiness and satisfaction. Stress, a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or demanding circumstances. Balance, a condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions.
Got it. Great. Now let's listen to a dialogue inspired by a real podcast. In this conversation, two friends discuss their perspectives on money and happiness.
You know, Michael, I've been thinking a lot about money lately. It seems like everyone is always trying to get more of it, but I'm not sure it really makes us happier.
I know what you mean, Laura. I used to think that having more money would solve all my problems. But now, I feel like it just adds more stress.
Exactly. I have some friends who are really wealthy and they still seem unhappy. I wonder if they're missing something important.
That's interesting. I've heard that real happiness often comes from relationships and personal achievements, not just from how much money you have.
I agree. It's about finding balance. Sure, money can make life easier, but it's not the only thing that matters.
Yeah, and sometimes focusing too much on money can actually take away from the things that bring true fulfillment, like spending time with loved ones or pursuing personal passions.
Absolutely. I think the key is to find a balance where you have enough money to live comfortably, but not let it consume your life.
Well said. It's definitely about how we use our resources and how we prioritize our time and relationships.
Welcome back. That was a great dialogue between Laura and Michael. Let's review some of the key phrases and vocabulary they used.
First, we heard wealth. Michael mentioned how having more money can sometimes add stress, despite being wealthy.
Right. And Laura talked about balance, finding the right amount of money that allows for a comfortable life without letting it control everything.
Yes, and they both touched on fulfillment and contentment, which are about finding happiness beyond just financial wealth.
Exactly. Remember, the dialogue was about understanding that money can help but shouldn't be the only focus for happiness. It's about achieving a balance.
Now let's dive into a quick debate. John, do you think that achieving wealth is always beneficial, or can it sometimes be counterproductive?
That's a good question, Emma. I think wealth can be beneficial if used wisely. It provides opportunities and can ease daily stress. However, if one becomes too focused on accumulating wealth, it might lead to neglecting other important aspects of life, like relationships and personal well-being.
I agree. Wealth itself isn't bad, but it's crucial to have a balanced perspective. Pursuing happiness and fulfillment should be the main goal, with money as a tool to support that, not as the end goal.
Exactly. It's about how you manage and perceive money. If you let it dictate your happiness, you might end up feeling empty regardless of how much you have.
Well put. Finding joy in life's simpler pleasures and maintaining strong relationships often lead to more lasting happiness than wealth alone.
That wraps up our discussion for today. We hope you found this episode insightful and helpful in understanding the complex relationship between money and happiness.
Remember, it's all about finding balance and focusing on what truly brings you fulfillment. Thank you for tuning in.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more interesting topics and English learning tips. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast where we continue to explore fascinating topics while improving our English skills. I'm John.
And I'm Emma. Today's episode is a continuation of our discussion from last time, but with a twist. We're diving into the complex relationship between love, money, and happiness.
Yes, last time we talked about how money affects happiness, but today we're adding love to the mix. We'll be looking at how money influences relationships, both for better and for worse.
Let's start by introducing some key vocabulary. Here are a few words and phrases we'll cover today. Materialistic. Excessively concerned with material possessions or money. Manipulation. Controlling or influencing a person or situation cleverly, unfairly, or unscrupulously. Genuine. Something that is real and sincere. Pretense. An attempt to make something that is not the case appear true. Exploit. To make use of a person or situation in an unfair or selfish way.
Great. Now that we've got the vocabulary covered, let's listen to a dialogue inspired by real conversations on this tricky topic of love and money.
You know, Michael, I was thinking about how people sometimes get into relationships for the wrong reasons.
Oh, totally. Some people marry for love, but others seem more interested in marrying for money.
It's sad, really. I know someone who's in a relationship where their partner is only staying because of the financial security. It's like money has become a tool for control.
Yeah, I've seen that happen too. But it goes both ways. Some people use their wealth to manipulate others into staying in relationships. It's all about power, not love.
And that's where the problem lies. Relationships should be based on genuine care and connection, not on pretense or exploitation.
Exactly. It's crazy how money can sometimes blur the lines between love and convenience. People can get trapped in something that's not real just because of financial comfort.
Or even worse, they stay in relationships that are toxic, simply because they feel they can't survive financially without their partner.
It's a tough situation, but I believe that true love can't be bought. At the end of the day, if it's only about money, there's no real happiness.
Welcome back. That was a deep conversation between Laura and Michael. Let's review some of the vocabulary they used.
First, we heard materialistic. Laura mentioned people who stay in relationships for financial security, showing how materialism can affect love.
And Michael talked about manipulation, how some wealthy people use their money to control relationships.
But Laura also brought up pretense and exploitation, both of which show how love can be distorted by financial motivations.
It's fascinating how these dynamics can shape relationships, and it's important to recognize when money becomes a driving force in romantic decisions.
Now let's get into a quick debate, John. Do you think money always corrupts love, or can it sometimes create a stronger bond?
I think it can go either way, Emma. If both people enter the relationship with clear intentions and mutual respect, money can be a tool to enhance their life together. But when money becomes the focus or a way to manipulate, that's when the relationship suffers.
True. I also believe that love can thrive in both wealth and simplicity, but it requires honesty and communication. If money becomes the main reason for staying together, it's no longer about love. It's about convenience.
Exactly. People need to be cautious of letting money dictate their emotions or actions. True love should be about the connection, not the bank account.
And in the end, it's all about trust. If you're with someone for the right reasons, love can grow regardless of financial status.
That wraps up today's episode. We hope this conversation helped you think more deeply about the connection between love and money.
Remember, money can't buy genuine happiness or love. It's all about finding the right balance in life and relationships.
Thank you for joining us. Be sure to subscribe and check out more of our episodes for fascinating discussions and English learning tips.
Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our podcast where we explore fascinating topics while improving our English skills at the same time. I'm John.
And I'm Emma. Today, we're shifting our focus to a topic that is often debated but rarely fully understood: the relationship between success and happiness. Our episode is titled, "The Truth About Success and Happiness." We'll explore how success impacts our happiness and how we can find a balance between the two.
But before we dive into the discussion, let's go over some key vocabulary you'll hear in today's episode. Here are a few words and phrases we'll cover.
Success, the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. Achievement, a thing done successfully, typically by effort, courage, or skill. Well-being, the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. Contentment, a state of happiness and satisfaction. Balance, a condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions.
Got it. Great. Now, let's listen to a dialogue inspired by real-life conversations. In this exchange, two friends, Michael and Laura, share their views on success and happiness.
You know, Michael, I've been thinking a lot about success lately. Everyone seems to be chasing it, but I'm starting to wonder if we really know what success is and if it truly brings happiness.
I hear you, Laura. It's like everyone has this preconceived idea that success means money, power, or status. But is that really success? Or is it something deeper?
Exactly. I think success is much more than that. For some people, it might be about finding a balance between work and personal life. For others, it might be having meaningful relationships or following a passion.
That makes sense. I've been thinking that maybe success should be defined by each of us, rather than following a definition imposed by society. For me, success could be feeling fulfilled in my work and having time for my family and hobbies.
I completely agree. I think it's important to find our own definition of success. The problem is that we often get caught up in what others think success is, and we end up chasing goals that don't actually make us happy.
That's an interesting point. I've read that true happiness often comes from personal relationships and inner peace, rather than external achievements. Maybe we should think of success in a more holistic way.
Absolutely. Success can be rewarding, but it shouldn't come at the expense of our well-being and relationships. We need to find a balance where we can pursue our goals without sacrificing what really matters.
Exactly. It's about setting priorities. Success is important, but we need to make sure we're not sacrificing our happiness in the process.
Welcome back. That was a very insightful dialogue between Michael and Laura. Let's review some of the key phrases and vocabulary they used.
First, we heard about success. Michael and Laura discussed how success shouldn't always be defined by money or status, but rather each person should find their own definition.
Laura talked about the importance of balance, achieving success without letting it consume your life or undermine your well-being.
Exactly. And they both emphasized the role of contentment and well-being, finding happiness in life beyond just professional or financial success.
The conversation really highlighted that while success can contribute to happiness, it's not the only factor, and it shouldn't be pursued at the expense of what truly brings joy and fulfillment.
That brings us to the next segment, another dialogue, but this time with a different perspective on the same topic.
Hey Michael, have you ever felt like no matter how much you achieve, something is always missing?
Yes, Laura, I know what you mean. I've been working hard for years, but sometimes I wonder if I've lost sight of what truly makes me happy.
It's so easy to get caught up in the race for success, isn't it? But I'm starting to think that maybe we need to redefine what success really means.
Exactly. Success shouldn't just be about promotions and pay raises. It should also be about living a life that's meaningful and fulfilling.
I couldn't agree more. I've realized that when I focus too much on achieving goals, I miss out on the simple pleasures in life, like spending time with my family or just enjoying a quiet moment.
It seems like you've found a healthier perspective. Maybe true success is about finding happiness in the journey, not just in the end results.
That was another thoughtful conversation between Michael and Laura. They touched on some important points about how success is often viewed and how it can sometimes lead to a feeling of emptiness if it's pursued without a sense of balance.
Yes, Emma. They raised an interesting idea that perhaps we need to redefine success, looking at it not just as a set of achievements, but as a holistic measure of a fulfilling life.
Which brings us to our final segment, a debate. John, do you think that achieving traditional success is always necessary for happiness, or can it sometimes lead to the opposite?
That's a complex question, Emma. I think traditional success can certainly bring happiness if it aligns with one's personal values and desires. However, if it's pursued for the wrong reasons, or at the expense of what truly matters, it can definitely lead to dissatisfaction and even unhappiness.
I agree with you, John. Traditional success, like wealth and status, can be part of a happy life, but it's not the whole picture. A truly happy life includes meaningful relationships, personal growth, and a sense of purpose.
Well said, Emma. It's about finding the right balance and making changes that enhance our overall happiness.
Absolutely. And with that, we wrap up today's episode. We hope you found our discussion on success and happiness enlightening.
Remember, success is just one piece of the puzzle. Focus on what truly makes you happy, and everything else will fall into place.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more interesting discussions and English learning tips.
Until next time, keep striving for balance and happiness in all you do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, where we explore interesting topics and improve our English skills at the same time. I'm John.
And I'm Emma. Today's episode is called The Truth About Being a Millionaire and Going to College. We're going to talk about whether going to college is really necessary to become rich and what often goes unsaid about money, education, and success.
Before we begin, let's review some key vocabulary you'll hear in today's episode. Here are a few words and phrases we'll be using. A millionaire, a person who has $1 million or more. A degree, a qualification you receive when you complete your studies at a university. Their investment is the action of putting money into something to make a profit. A debt money that is owed or due. Is success the achievement of a goal, often involving wealth, respect, or happiness? A conformity, accepting something as sufficient or adequate without trying to improve or change.
Great. Now that we have the vocabulary ready, let's dive into today's conversation. There are many ideas about what it means to be successful and whether we really need formal education to achieve it. But could we be missing something important? Let's find out.
Michael, I've been questioning whether we really need to go to college to be successful. It seems like society sees it as a requirement, but is it really necessary?
That's a good question, Laura. For a long time, I thought a college degree was essential for securing a good job and financial stability. But over time, I've seen that's not always the case. Some of the most successful people I know never finished college.
That's what's been on my mind too. I know people with degrees who are still struggling to pay off student loans. Meanwhile, others have found creative ways to make money without a degree, and they're doing really well.
Exactly. And what's even more surprising is how some of these entrepreneurs have achieved so much success by thinking differently. They didn't follow the traditional path. Instead, they found a way to turn their passions into profits.
Yes, and I think that's what people don't always understand. College can open doors, but it can also close them if you're not careful. You can end up stuck in a career you hate just because you followed what everyone said you should do.
That's true. The pressure to follow the traditional path can be overwhelming. But what if real success isn't just about money or having a degree? What about personal satisfaction and the freedom to do what you truly love?
That's exactly what I've been thinking. Maybe we should redefine success. Instead of seeing it as just wealth or a degree, maybe it should be about the ability to live the life you really want.
And in many cases, that could mean taking risks, stepping out of your comfort zone, and challenging what others expect of you. Being a millionaire isn't just about having money, it's about having control over how you live your life.
Exactly. And college, while valuable, doesn't guarantee that control. In fact, sometimes it can do the opposite by limiting our options with debt or social expectations.
That's what fascinates me about the new job market. Nowadays, you can learn skills online, start a business with little money, or even work remotely from anywhere in the world. The possibilities are endless if you're willing to think differently.
Absolutely. So maybe the question isn't whether we should go to college, but whether we're willing to explore other options that could lead to a more authentic and personal kind of success.
Welcome back. That was a very interesting conversation between Laura and Michael. Let's review some of the key ideas and vocabulary they used.
First, they talked about the word millionaire. Michael mentioned how some people become millionaires without going to college by thinking differently and finding alternative opportunities.
They also discussed debt, which many people take on to go to college, and how this can limit their future options instead of expanding them.
Exactly. Another interesting concept was conformity. Laura and Michael talked about how many people follow the traditional path without questioning it, which sometimes leads to a less fulfilling life.
That's crucial. It's about understanding that while college can be a great option for many, it's not the only way to succeed. And the most important thing is to define what success means to you, personally.
Now, let's dig a little deeper. John, do you think society pushes us too much toward college and in doing so, overlooks other forms of success?
Definitely, Emma. I think society has idealized college so much that we sometimes don't see other options that could be equally or even more valid. The problem is that many people assume a degree is a guarantee of success, when in reality, it depends a lot on how you use that degree and whether you really need it for what you want to do.
I agree. It's easy to get caught up in the mindset that a degree is necessary for any kind of success, but I think we need to be more critical. Instead of just following what's expected, we should think about what really excites us and find ways to make that work.
Exactly. I think if more people allowed themselves to think outside the box, they could discover paths to success that are more fulfilling and less dependent on following traditional norms.
That's right, and I think that's the key point. Success shouldn't just be a preset formula. It should be something each person defines for themselves, based on what they truly value in life.
Totally agree. And sometimes that means taking a non-traditional path, challenging expectations, and creating a life you truly enjoy, no matter what others might think. That wraps up our discussion for today. We hope this episode has given you a new perspective on what it means to be successful with or without a college degree.
Remember, success isn't one size fits all. It's about finding what works best for you and being brave enough to follow your own path. Thank you for listening.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more interesting topics and English learning tips. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.